All right, everybody. Welcome back to We the Champs. I'm your host, Jalen, and so good to have you here at the finest sports show on the turf, on the earth, in the pool, in the field, on the court, or wherever. We're about to get into some college football talk. Week 4 just passed. There was a lot going down, and we're going to take a little sneak peek at week 5, so to see what's going on. But before we get to this, you already know, call to action, hit that like, hit that subscribe and comment. You already see what I'm rocking. All right, let's get right to it, guys. Let's not waste any time. Okay, so this is the biggest matchup right here. Arguably the biggest matchup in the first quarter of the league, or the second quarter. Let's see, they played 12 games. Yeah. So the second quarter, since it's week 5, we got the number 2 dogs going down to Tuscaloosa to face off at the number 4 Rolling Tide, Alabama. All right, man. So we know how this gets down. This is a big time rivalry here. It can get even bigger now that they don't do divisions anymore. So, every other couple of years or so, you'd see Georgia and Bama match up because Bama was in the SEC West and Georgia participated in the SEC East. They had crossover games, but now we might see it more often, just because that's what the fans want. That's what they want. All right. So in the last 8 matchups, 4 have been SEC title games. There have been some heartbreakers there. And 2 were national championship games. If you can remember, Jake Fromm was the quarterback for Georgia in one of them. And we already know Stetson Bennett, the heroics, and the first championship Georgia had in this tenured run we've had over the past couple seasons. All right, so let's just gauge this out. And one interesting fact here, Alabama, this is their first time being a home underdog in 90 games. They're sitting at a -1.5, maybe 2.5, maybe 1, depending on what sports book you're looking at. All right. So let's look at this matchup here. We got Jalen Milroe, a Heisman hopeful, and Carson Beck, another Heisman hopeful in this situation. All right. Georgia's defense is just damn dominant this year. Really good look at it is how Georgia played against I'm gonna say Clemson in the opening week this season. But they held Clemson to 3 or 6 points, and just look how they're pounding the other teams. I know the Kentucky game was close. That was expected every time we go to Lexington and play. However, they still held Kentucky to 12 points. And guess what? A team hasn't gotten on Georgia this year. Nobody has yet to score a touchdown against Georgia this season. All right, that's spectacular. We played, who do we play? Tennessee State, Kentucky, Clemson, and I think that might have been it because we had a bye week. But anyways, you know how I'm rocking. All right, and Georgia's also only surrendered over plays of over 20 yards twice. Okay. And you're looking at Bama's offense. Bama's very explosive on offense. It appeared Jalen Milroe was the formula to get Bama over the edge against Georgia last year in that SEC championship game, which is some bull crap that we didn't make it to the playoffs, but whatever. That's not a thing. That's a thing of the past now, having only 4 teams. Yeah, Bama has a pretty explosive offense. I believe they can go toe-to-toe with any other top offense in the league, all right? However, they have a little bit of a weakness in that secondary. They can definitely be exposed out there, okay? And then we have Georgia, they haven't really revved up the offense, We seen them get down, but we haven't seen Georgia get down, which I think is okay. Like I said, that matchup with Kentucky going to Lexington is always tough. So I didn't expect many points there, maybe 20, somewhere in the mid-20s at the most. But, they scored, still beat down Clemson, so I'm not worried about that. So Bama with the home field advantage is a real thing. I got to admit, I'm being a little biased here. I'm going to take Georgia to win this game. I look at Alabama. explosive offense, Jalen Monroe. And I look at Georgia, good offense, can be great with Heisman hopeful candidate and possibly top draft prospect in Carson Beck. Same Heisman hopeful deal going on with Jalen Monroe, but just give me Georgia. That defense is top notch, man. And they can expose mistakes, especially with Kirby Smart on the helm. And the number one thing here, if you're looking at the pass run Georgia's had these last few seasons, the only loss Kirby Smart has had is to Nick Saban. And like I said before, Nick Saban is gone. So who's going to stop Georgia when the sensei's out here? All right. So give me the Dogs straight up to win this game. All right. And like I said, guys, I am biased. So don't take too much from it. Okay. All right. So let's have some more college football talk here. So Ole Miss, they finally get a good little test. They play Kentucky at home. Ole Miss has been playing pretty much lower tier teams, lower tier as in maybe they don't recruit quite as good. I mean, they beat Furman 76-0, Middle Tennessee 52-0, Wake Forest 40-6, and Georgia Southern 52-13. All right, let's play a team that kind of recruits on par almost in Kentucky, whose defense we've seen can be pretty solid. All right, they're facing them at home, so I still expect this to be a pretty good banger from Ole Miss, and them to get a good arm's length game out of here. Okay, then they have to travel to South Carolina, which that could be a tricky one. Then they have to go to Death Valley to play LSU. Now, that right there is the matchup I'm waiting for Ole Miss. But don't overlook them playing South Carolina, okay? And definitely not Kentucky. Kentucky's a tough team, all right? And they have Jackson Dart throwing – damn, he's throwing 79.8%. That's almost an 80% completion rate, all right? So who else we got here? We got Michigan. Michigan locks in on winning formula to beat USC. Jim Harbaugh, they had a firm culture with him there. They switched some things up. I mean, when you only have two starters returning, of course, some things are going to change, especially if it's at the quarterback position. You can be limited and you can be unlimited depending on who you have at the helm. They tried Warren out. Warren was more so the stable pocket passer. You have Alex Orji, the running quarterback, who can be a threat with his legs, quite frankly. All right. And it appears I wouldn't even say Michigan tried to get too cute. They're just some things in the passing games they couldn't do. They're not built for, it's going to take some time. So against USC, they just went to the bread and butter, man. Bread, butter, cheese, and the ham. Just played it simple. Pow! Just pounding the ball. They hit USC for 290 rushing yards. Mullings, his top run was 63 yards. Edwards had 41 yards on the ground. They just gotta keep it rolling, man. Michigan, they're ranked number 12, I believe now. Let's look at this again. Yes, they're number 12 now. They want to hold on to that ranking to make the college football playoffs. By no stretch, I don't think Michigan is a title contender just because of how limited they are on offense. But they can dominate in their facet of the game, and I still believe they could win this Big Ten championship. Just looking at it, teams get better down the stretch through the season, and that's what really separates. And that's what really has made college football so difficult. In the college football 14 playoff era, especially in the BCS era, it's like you got to be sharp as soon as the season starts. I mean, you look at Michigan now, okay, it's like, all right, we're going to run back this formula, especially against higher tier opponents. They're going to get better. Then they're going to add more dimensions to this game once they really know what they can lean on to win these games and just progress. But they play Minnesota. Minnesota's no punk, but I don't think they have what it takes to get over the power and the defense of this Michigan football team. All right. So let's hop to the Big 12 here. We had Oklahoma State, number 20, going to face off at number 23, Kansas State. All right. So these are two teams I was really high on. Like I said before, the Big 12 is the wild, wild Big 12. These teams are going to eat each other alive. You have so many on the same par, and they don't get the same respect as the SEC and Big 10. So, there will be some teams with similar records that just won't make the college football playoffs because of just the popularity of the conferences and the level of play. Oklahoma State lost a close one to Utah, and Kansas State got busted down on their away game playing at BYU this last Friday. All right. So they need bounce back wins to really clinch a Big 12 championship berth because it's not going to get easier. Oklahoma State was down by a good margin, and Utah held on. Utah had to play their backup quarterback, Isaac or Isaiah Wilson, who's actually Zach Wilson, quarterback for, I think he plays for the Broncos now, but he played for the Jets and BYU. He's actually his younger brother. I saw a picture of him. I'm like, what the hell? Because Cam Rising, the seventh-year senior quarterback, had a finger injury on his throwing hand. All right. Kansas State, just think they ran into a tough matchup at BYU. Avery Johnson is still a young quarterback, and he's very, very talented. He has a ceiling, honestly, in his playability, but his youth and inexperience did show in that game against BYU for that weekend. All right, so Oklahoma State played at Kansas State. That's an exciting one. I'm definitely tuning in to watch that. So both of these, like I said, both of these teams need this bounce back to claim a Big 12 playoff, Big 12 championship berth and to keep it rolling. All right. And BYU, watch out for BYU. They, like I said, I told you, explain what happened when they played Kansas State. And it was bad. It was crazy, too. Right before the half, I think they scored 3 touchdowns in under 3 minutes. They had a fumble return. No, I'm sorry. They scored 17 and kicked the field goal and had a fumble return for a touchdown. Got a pick. They went empty with like a minute and some change to go. They should have just ran the ball, played it conservative. After that fumble happened, had a pick, and then, they threw a fade route to the tight end or receiver, whatever. He scored. And maybe it was just bad coaching calls on Kansas State. But BYU is definitely sneaking under the radar there, especially in this Big 12 conference. Let's keep an eye out for them sitting at number 22, okay? We have Wisconsin at USC. Both of these teams need to stay strong. USC still has very much so a Big 10 championship berth at stake and a college football playoff position at stake. I'm going to take this one, USC at home to win this game. All right. We have Louisville at Notre Dame. The Irish cannot afford this loss here. Okay. After they lost to NIU, Northern Illinois University, that was big. And it was looking like, oh, man, might not be space for them in the college football playoffs already after that loss. Because I'm telling you what, this, out of the top teams, I don't think anybody else will have a loss like that to reflect on their schedule, okay? So let's check out Notre Dame real quick. And the strength of their schedule isn't too great. So they play, so they have Louisville. Texas A&M is just hovering in the top 25. Depending on how Texas A&M finishes up, that win won't look as good. Let's see here. Florida State, we see Florida State, they're at 1-3 now. They're a shell of themselves. And they play USC at the end. So they're going to have to run the table here, I believe. I believe so. That NIU loss is just going to look so bad. And then imagine trying to stack that up against Big 12 teams with 2 losses within the conference to other ranked opponents in the schedule. So Notre Dame, y'all got to get this win. Louisville, hey, y'all need to get this too because the ACC isn't stacking up too great. or nearly as good as I thought it was. So if we're looking at Louisville's schedule, got SMU coming up. SMU's no slouch. They play Miami, Clemson, and Kentucky, the interstate rivalry at the end of the season. And Pitt's no hoe neither. Not bad. And Boston College, so Louisville, they have some tough games coming up. Some of these opponents aren't ranked, but they are tough teams. Louisville, you're on the road. Let's see what you got. Let's see what you're made of. All right. Another team, surprise team I like here. Number 19, Illinois is taking on number 9, Penn State. Illinois has been impressive so far, especially with the close overtime win against. It was actually on the road against Nebraska and on the road against Kansas. We know Kansas has deflated a little bit from the momentum they had last year with their big-time quarterback, Jalen Daniels. But the Illinois, the Fighting Illini, have been very impressive thus far to say. But I believe the little streak are running to a halt with Penn State here. I think Penn State's really competing with the big dogs in the Big Ten. Ohio State's to Michigan. I think they can take out Michigan. I think Michigan can beat them. But Penn State, let's keep this ball rolling here. I think Penn State will win convincingly. All right. And then we have Arizona at Utah. I think Utah win this arm's length game, maybe anywhere from 10 to 14 points with the tough defense, depending on Cam Rising if he plays or not. But Wilson as the backup isn't a bad option, especially after that Oklahoma State victory. And Utah was the favorite to come into the Big 12 and win this conference. I was thinking otherwise possibly, but after taking out Oklahoma State, they're in the driver's seat for this conference. They win out, maybe lose a game, then play in the Big 12 championship, win that. I definitely see Utah ended up at the end of the season with a playoff berth. All right. And just watch Arizona. Noah Fafita's really good. And T-Mac, big-time receiver. I believe he'll be the first receiver off the board after watching him play against Kansas State, getting some catches in, big plays, run after catch. T-Mac, or it's Terry McMillan, I believe, is a big-time player. Okay. And then we got Colorado. Colorado's not even a ranked team, dude, and we're talking about Colorado. But I got to say, with Coach Prime coming there, it just brings the excitement into college football big time. They've made stars out of Travis Hunter. You know, Travis Hunter was a top recruit, maybe the number 1 recruit out of high school. I'm not quite sure. He was somewhere up there, or maybe the number 1 corner. You know, they turned him and Shador into stars, and we even know the other brother, Shiloh Sanders, the safety. It's just so exciting because the anticipation and the pressure that's been put on this program to perform it delivers. I mean, I'm up to like 12:30 watching damn Colorado games last year and this season. So they had an overtime victory, and they had to push overtime with a Hail Mary that failed the first time. The kid dropped it. Then they landed it and got it on the second attempt, which is nuts. And Travis Hunter forces a fumble. Travis Hunter, the biggest star on the team, well, I think him and Shador are like big time stars on that team. He forces a fumble. Like, dude, the names, the guys making the plays. So Colorado football is very exciting. And they play at UCF. And UCF is a tough team. This is going to be a tough matchup. I also believe they're a new team into the Big 12. Let's see. I forgot the name of their head coach. It's Gus Malzahn. Okay, Gus Malzahn is the head football coach, and he's doing some good things here. So expect the banger Saturday at 3:30 between UCF and Colorado. Okay. I'm liking this matchup. I'm tuning in. I don't know if you're tuning in. All right. Now, let's go into some Heisman talk. All right. Oh, one thing. Um, I'm not sure if they need to get a different committee to rank these teams in the college in the AP poll, or I don't know, man. But I was looking at it, and these rankings are just not in great places. So first of all, Iowa dropped out of the rankings after losing to Iowa State. Okay. Iowa State is a good ass team. They're sitting at 18 right now, and they're 2 spots behind Notre Dame. All right. The 2 spots behind Notre Dame, and Texas A&M is ranked over Iowa. All right. If we're looking at it, Notre Dame lost to Northern Illinois. Notre Dame beat Texas A&M. And Iowa State, number 18 team, beat Iowa, who's out of the rankings right now. I just think a lot of the teams on the back end, they don't put too much focus into. It's like, all right, let's look at who we got. Let's look at who we have as the wins, maybe 17 through 25, and let's put them here. Let's put them there and whatnot or whatever. Okay, but some of these rankings just have me scratching my head here. All right, they're very questionable. Okay. All right, so let's go into the Heisman watch. All right. Heisman watch. So you have a front runner right here. And like I said, it's still early in the season. We just, not a quarter. I'm saying, my bad. We're done with a third of the regular season. So with the Heisman, the formula for the Heisman: stats, team success, style, and your Heisman moment. Okay. So we have Cam Ward, 1,439 passing yards, 14 TDs, 2 interceptions, 89 rushing yards, and a touchdown. He's at the top 2 right now. The one behind him is Jackson Dart, pretty much 80% completion percentage, 1,554 yards, 12 TDs, 2 interceptions, 90 rushing yards, 3 touchdowns. So those are our front runners. Top teams blowing teams out. That can change. So these guys, they both have stats, and they have the team success on them right now. All right. But if both of these teams were to finish undefeated, their stats are going to be pretty similar. So I don't see too much of a variance in their stats being a question. Now, the big thing with these guys will be moments going on. All right. Now, I just think Cam Ward, just because of where he's at, Miami, and Miami's just more of a TV product than Ole Miss, Mississippi is. So Cam Ward has that edge in style for sure, but the moment can really change, and if team success changes, that'll be big. But as far as stats, I think that'll stay similar. Jalen Milroe, that's crazy. These guys got like 3 times the passing yards. 590 passing yards, 67 completions percentage, 8 touchdowns, 156 yards, 6 TDs. Dual threat quarterback. We got Nico Imelieva, 892 yards, 69% completion, 8 touchdowns. My bad. 7 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, 117 rushing yards, and an interception. We have Dylan Gabriel, Quinn Ewers injured, Carson Becks not doing too much big with his not doing too many big things with his statistics, but the team success is still there. Same with Quinn Ewers. Has some decent stats, but he suffered the injuries recently, which can definitely put a damper on that. Then we have Travis Hunter, man. Travis Hunter has unique stats, unique place. He has great style, and he likely already has a Heisman moment. And then he's a two-way player. The only person in this race towards the top kind of that's not a quarterback. So I believe that's going to work into his favor. When was the last time we saw a big time two-way player in college football? Like a guy catching interceptions and catching touchdowns. All right. So thus far this season, this is through 4 games, 472 yards, 5 touchdowns, 14 tackles, tackle for loss, 1 interception, 2 pass breakups, and a forced fumble. All right. So I like to see him here. So if you look at his receiving stats, he's definitely on pace to break 1,000 and have over 60 catches. Like that, I feel like that's damn near confirmed as long as he stays healthy. All right. And if you're looking at his, and maybe 10 touchdowns, maybe like 9, 10 touchdowns, or he can go on a heater and just smash all this. Then we have him playing the defensive side of the ball at cornerback, man. If he, make some big time pick sixes to seal games or to put Colorado back in the game, we could really be working for something. So he's not the favorite at the moment, but hey, a lot of things change down the season. Now, what won't be in his favor is team success. But this is honestly a once in a generation type of player. All right. If you want, he's already a star, but just simply for the sport, popularity, style, like I said, if you want that to raise the level of attention to football, hey, we should make Travis Hunter the Heisman. I rest my case right there. All right, guys, that wraps it up for this session of We the Champs. Please stay tuned. Hit that like, hit that subscribe. I got some more action coming for you. Tell me what you think, and I appreciate you tuning in, all right? We the Champs. We out.